Hey guys, this is the third part in between to work on your construction plan. What we want to do now is adding shadows to show light situations, sun situations, also in winter, summer, all this stuff which you can integrate like already known from solar architecture to visualize how deep the sun rays will enter your rooms, for example, and for shading, roof overhangs, and those things in at a certain time. Uh, and the second part I want to show you in this short video is how to make scenes and animations in SketchUp. So I will share the screen with you, and we start opening our um, last sample wall, which we had created before in SketchUp. So this was the last wall which we had. Whether yours looks exactly like that and you followed what I did, or you made another construction, it doesn't matter now. And so what we have here is the shadow function in our, if you don't have it, you just go to Window, Default Tray, and add the shadows here. And when you have the shadows, you can click on this show hide shadows and add the shadows to it. And then you can use all the surfaces for shadow shading or not. You see there is not much difference here on faces on ground. If I don't want to show it on the faces, just on the ground, I click off this one. And if you don't want to show it on the ground, just in the unit, then it's like that. So it's mainly from edges, whatever. So I click the use sun for shading on faces on ground. So then you have here the light and darkness. You can adjust the intensity. This is what you can do. Make it darker or lighter. And here we have the time of the day. So let's say it's somewhere now at 9:48 a.m. or in the afternoon when the sun goes like that. You can adjust the time and you can adjust the date. So let's put it on the date we have now. So somewhere on the 1st of April. No, we have the 18th or something like 18th of, can adjust it exactly with this calendar here. So we can say we are on the 21st of March here. And if I look from the south side, so the red line is always your south side, you will have full light on 11:41, and it's still a little bit on the west side of your, but if you go on to the afternoon, the sun will go to the east side. The shadows will go to the east side because the sun comes from the north side. So this is how you add shadows and make it more, as a first step, more realistic to show your 3D model now. And when the sun is always on the ground, so in this case, for example, maybe it's yours is different, but I can select everything and move it really because it's under my line here and move it up. If it's already on your surface, then it's okay, but it should be on top of your line so that the shades really go start where your model starts, like that. So this is about shading. So you can imagine that with these shadings, you can simulate a situation on the 21st or 20th of December situation. So in the middle of winter, when you have not much light and the sun comes very in a slope in 30 degrees something, or you can simulate it in the middle of summer like that. And you can look at these different situations. How deep can your sun go in through a window? Okay. For example, this window, and you will see the light coming in through your window here in this case. For example, I want to show it in the winter situation. How deep will this light enter my room here on at 12 o'clock, something like that, 12 o'clock in at midday, for example. So I see the bigger your windows are, naturally, the more light you have. So this is, for example, simulating light situations in SketchUp. If this yellow is too bright for you, you can adjust it with the light and make it a little bit more warmer, like that. This is what you can do with the light and the darkness. Just adjust it so that it's a nice warm model. And the second step I want to show you in this video is how to make scenes and how to make animations. So when you want to visualize to your clients a step by step how you build such a construction, then you make scenes. So in the view section, you have this animation and you can add a scene, for example. So I'm okay, let's say I'm okay with this view and I can add a scene. So what I can save it as a new style, update the selected style, or do nothing to save changes. I will save it as a new style and I will create a scene. So I have here a scene. And when you close on your everything except the scenes, and you have your scenes visible here, then you see that you have a scene here and you can already name it and say this is start with base plate, for example, or whatever you name it. And if you enter that, you will see that you have your scene named. It's not scene one anymore. It's really defining what you have. And I can make another scene. I need to start with my final scene as well. So I can add a scene and I have the scene 2 here and I leave it like that. And if I go back to my start with base plate scene, I can hide now whatever I don't want to show in this first scene. So we select everything except the base plate, for example. Yeah, I could do it like that. Or you make it simpler and go with the camera to standard view and you go to the front, for example, and make a view it camera, go to a parallel projection and you select everything except the base plate. So like that. Yeah. So you have selected everything on top of your base plate, but your base plate is visible. And then I click and say hide. So when I look just to check in the 3-dimensional, I should have the 2 base plates here, but I hide it all the upper construction. And then I go there and say update the first scene. So if I move now from the first scene to the second scene, I see, okay, I have my first scene showing just the base plate and the second scene with the whole construction. So what we do now is add another scene on the camera, and you add a scene, sorry, animation, view animation, and add a scene. So it's the same scene as this one. And we go again, we start with the second scene and say we see this should be the construction, for example. So this is the second thing you will do in your wall, to set up the construction parts. So you have to hide now every the top plate, select the top plate, shift, hold the shift, and select all the bales and the window like that. And also this bales. You can do it in 2 steps, but and leave just the construction visible. So I hide that as a first step, and then I will also hide my buttons because they will be entered later. So I have here my construction. I can adjust if you want. You can adjust the shadows because we start in the morning. Yeah, we start in the morning with building our construction like that. Or let's say this is 10 o'clock, around 10 o'clock, and we update. And in the first, we don't see a shadow, much of a shadow, but we will start at 9 o'clock. Let's say we start at 9 o'clock working, and at 10 o'clock we are already. So, and we update again. And so I can move from my base plate now to the second part where I have the construction. You go to the 13, double this 13 by making under view and another scene, add a scene. And now you work on the 13 and you can go on like that. You can say, I want now the first row of bales visible, only the first row with the first button here. I already have my and whatever you don't want to be visible, you just hide in 1 step or in 2 steps, hide it. And I forgot this bale and I will hide it. So I have now the first row of bales with the button already inserted and could adjust it to now. This is the third scene. We are at 11 o'clock somehow like that. Yeah, and I update my scene. And I can rename the scene here again and say this is the construction or the infill of the bale in this case. Whatever. Enter it and then you have here your scenes. So, and this is the final construction where we are at 12 o'clock and we can rename also this one and say this is the final construction or whatever. Enter and then it's named. So if you start here, you have your base plate, you go to construction, posts and infill, and then you have your final construction like that. And what you can do now is play under view, you can play the animation. So you can just go to your first one start with this one, and then you go under view animation and play it. So it automatically, I don't do anything. Your animation plays and you see a pause and a stop, and it automatically plays like that. Yeah, it will never end except you tell your animation to stop at the end. This is what you can adjust. And the wonderful thing on that is that you can make a movie out of that. So if I stop it now and say I want to file export, I can export this animation as a video. The other possibility I have is to export it as a 2D graphic, for example, here. So then I just export this, what I see here, and I have to adjust it if it's not really visible to a JPEG, for example. 2D graphic will generate a JPEG, and you can name it Stubeinwand 1 or something like that, or 2, because it's scene 2, and I export it in my file wherever I want that. Yeah. This is how you can also present a step-by-step construction, how to make it, or make a movie out of that, export it as a movie, download it as a movie. It will, depending on your computer, most probably be an AVI or a MP4, which you can view afterwards in your any kind of movie uh, presenter like VLT, which I would recommend to use. So, and last thing is we save our and we close it, and this is it. Next step, as I said before, is presenting it with the SketchUp viewer to your clients. Thank you for watching.